Hello and thank you for attending my PowerPoint presentation about Rappa, the Dazzling Ninja. I mean, if you played the 2.6 Trailblaze Continuance, you know that she'd be spitting rhymes. Especially in CN, because a lot of them don't translate very well in EN. I love how she can get along well with Boot Hill. I mean, Galaxy Rangers are absolutely wild. And speaking of Galaxy Ranger, it's funny how both playable Galaxy Rangers are both break-oriented. He's also the first imaginary erudition that we have. She's also the first erudition break unit we have, which is funny because imaginary is the lowest base break multiplier of all elements, tied with quantum. In terms of base stats, she has pretty okay stats across the board, except below average speed, above average energy cost, and in exchange, the 6th highest attack in the game, which is really high considering that, again, she's a break DPS. She doesn't scale well off attack. Her basics are basic, they're identical to most other basics, and generate 1 skill point and 20 energy. Her skill does AoE damage. This consumes 1 skill point and generates 30 energy. Her ult immediately gives her 1 extra turn and gives her 3 points of chroma ink, and causes her to enter the seal form state. While in seal form, she gains 50% weakness break efficiency and a small break effect buff. Her basic attack is also enhanced, and her skill and ultimate cannot be used again. After using her enhanced basics, she consumes 1 point of chroma ink, and when chroma ink is depleted, she exits seal form. This costs 140 energy. So the first 2 hits of her enhanced basics do blast damage, and her last hit is AoE damage. You get to choose each target individually. When attacking enemies that don't have imaginary weakness, this does half the toughness damage. This does not generate or consume skill points and consumes 1 stack of chroma ink instead. This does generate 20 energy. Her talent is the main part of her kit. Whenever an enemy target's weakness broken, not just by her, she gains 1 point of charge up to a maximum of 10 points. When she next launches the 3rd hit of her enhanced basics, she additionally deals a percentage of her break damage to all enemies. This can ignore weakness type to do 2 toughness. Then she consumes all stacks of charge to increase that break damage multiplier by a significant amount per stack, and increases the toughness reduction that can ignore weakness type by 1 per stack. This is the main part of her kit, and also compensates for Imaginary's low initial break multiplier. After using her technique, she enters the graffiti state for 20 seconds. While in graffiti, as you can see, she basically just surfs forward and blocks any attacks, similar to Ambassador Lunay's technique. And whenever she collides with an enemy, she immediately enters combat, does 30 toughness to all enemies regardless of weakness type, and break damage equal to 200% of her imaginary break damage to every enemy target, plus 180% to adjacent targets. Meaning an enemy that is surrounded by 2 other enemies will take 560% of her break damage, which is insane. At the same time, she also regenerates 10 energy. Whenever an elite or boss enemy's weakness is broken, she additionally gains 1 point of charge and 10 additional energy. Her A4 trace causes her to do 1 instance of 60% super break damage when using any enhanced basic hit on a weakness broken enemy. Whenever an enemy is weakness broken, her A6 trace causes them to gain 2% break vulnerability. Every 100 attack above 2400 increases this by 1% up to 10% in total at 3200 attack. This lasts for 2 turns, and is the main reason why there's a frankly absurd amount of attack scaling. She also gains 28% attack, 13.3% break effect, and 9 speed from minor traces. Her E1 gives her 15% death ignore while in seal form. She also gains 20 energy when exiting seal form. Her E2 causes her first 2 hits of her enhanced basics to gain 50% break efficiency on the main target. Her E3 trace gives plus 2 trace levels to her skill and talent. Her E4 gives all allies 12% speed while she is in seal form. Her E5 gives plus 2 trace levels to her ult and plus 1 to her basics. Her E6 increases the charge stack limit by 5. At the start of her battle, or after the 3rd enhanced basics, she also gets 5 stacks of charge. He's honestly incredibly fun to play and funny. Also, Yoimiya CNVA, and if you know me, Yoimiya is my favorite character in Genshin. Anyway, I forgot to write this down on the PowerPoint, but he's actually fairly cheap to raise. I mean, almost all of her damage are in her talents and traces. Her ult only gives her a minuscule break effect buff, and her basics and skills are just attack scaling that doesn't really matter. So realistically, you can leave those two at level 1 and still do a lot of damage. Anyway, she completes the whole eternity of dedicated DPS break units. No, your super rare Kimiko does not count. Currently, she is really strong in all endgame modes, which is not really something we've seen before. I mean, the closest we have recently, I think, is Yun Li, who was really strong in MOC and Pure Fiction, though I'm not very sure about Apocalyptic Shadow since I don't own her. Exo Toughness is just one of the strongest mechanics in the game for break-based units. That extra turn mechanic is one of the coolest parts of her kit, as well as one of the most versatile ults in the entire game. Like, you can literally ult in the middle of an enemy action or during another ally's turn, and still immediately get the extra turn right away. This is absolutely cool and allows for some really niche and awesome interactions. Alright, hope you enjoyed. If you did, do like and subscribe. While you're here, you might as well check out some of my other videos, like maybe if you want to know more about break in general, you can check out this video where I go through it. Or if you just want more PowerPoints, you can check out this playlist full of, well, PowerPoints. Right, bye.